Welcome to Learn It Easy. Let's learn about the topic ecosystem. Have you ever wondered how living things and non-living things interact and survive in an environment? Living things interact, but non-living things? Okay, what are those non-living things? The non-living things that interact with the living things are air, water, soil, and weather. The living things includes plants, animals, and bacteria, human. So these living things, they interact with the non-living thing in an environment, and this place where they interact with each other is called ecosystem. So what is an ecosystem? An ecosystem is the interaction between the living things and the non-living things in one area. It involves distribution of energy in an environment. So all the members of the ecosystem, they are interconnected, right? So the size of the ecosystem, it can range from a small tide pool to desert. Think about it. What kind of ecosystem would you find in a desert and in the pool? Let's see how interaction in an ecosystem takes place. The living things, they interact with the same living things or living things that are different from them. They also interact with the non-living parts of an ecosystem. What are the non-living parts? I hope you remember. Air, water, soil, or weather. Here in the picture, you can see that the zebras, they interact with a non-living part of an ecosystem, that is water. And the hippopotamus, they interact with a non-living part, that is water. And how about the bird? They interact with the living part, but different from them. That is plant. Other examples would be earthworms. They interact with the soil. Likewise, birds, insects, and spiders. Think about how insects and spiders, they interact with the living things and non-living things around them. As we know, there are living things that interact with each other in an ecosystem. So this living thing, each and every living thing, they have some role in an ecosystem. So these scientists, they group living things according to which niche they belong to. What is a niche? An organism's role or a job in an ecosystem is called a niche. So let's see how they have grouped them as. First, they group them as a producers, consumers, herbivores, carnivores, omnivores, scavengers, and decomposers. Producers, consumers, herbivores, carnivores, omnivores, scavengers, and decomposers. So what is a niche? An organism's role or a job in an ecosystem. The first category is producers. Who are producers? The producers produce their own food. They are the living things that produce their own food. For example, green plants use energy from the sun to make their own food, and this process is called photosynthesis. In the picture, you can see that an elephant eats the plants, where the plants produce their own food and store the energy in them. And this stored energy from the plant is transferred to an elephant. So here the producer is the plant or the tree. Consumers. The living things get their energy from eating other living things. The other living things can be either a consumer or the producer. They consume on producers or other consumers. So these consumers, they are subdivided into several groups or niches. What is a niche? An organism's role in an environment is called niche. Some examples of producers are owls, mice, lizards, snakes, frogs, insects, and birds. You see in the picture, the lion eats the rabbit, and a rabbit eats the plant. Here, the energy from the plant is transferred to the rabbit while the rabbit eats the plant. likewise, and the energy from the rabbit that is stored in it is transferred to the lion. So here the consumers are the rabbit and lion, and the producer is the plant. Carnivores, omnivores, scavengers. Carnivores are meat eaters, while the omnivores eat both plants and animals. So what are scavengers? The scavengers, they get energy from eating dead things. The role of the scavengers is to clean up the dead plants and animals on the earth. The examples of scavengers are crows, vultures, cockroaches, and opossum. So carnivores are meat eaters, omnivores eat both plants and animals, while the scavengers, they eat dead things. Now see, decomposers. The decomposers are the living things that break down dead organisms and waste into nutrients and minerals. And where are these nutrients, minerals going to be stored in? They go back into the soil, and the plant takes the nutrients, minerals from the soil and produce their own food. Right, so the soil needs decomposers to get nutrients and minerals. So you would have wondered, from where do the soil get the nutrients and minerals? So these decomposers do the job. So that is the role of the decomposers. Now let's see the types of an ecosystem. There are different types of ecosystem based on their climates and habitats. But the main two categories of an ecosystem are the aquatic ecosystem and the terrestrial ecosystem. As the name says, aquatic ecosystem is a water ecosystem. The water ecosystem includes all the ecosystems that are located primarily on or inside water bodies. All the ecosystems that are located inside a water body are the aquatic ecosystem and the water. Terrestrial ecosystem is all the ecosystem which are mainly located on land. This is otherwise called as land ecosystem. In other words, you can say as a water ecosystem or land ecosystem. Tundra ecosystem. The tundra ecosystem is covered with snow for most of the year. Mostly this tundra ecosystem occurs in the north of the Arctic Circle. And since it is cold for most of the year, and I could say it is freezing cold, but the soil beneath the surface is always frozen. So there is no chance for any trees to be grown. So they are the flat, vast, and treeless cold regions. The tundra ecosystem are the cold region which is treeless, they are flat, and they are vast. And they come under the terrestrial ecosystem, that is a land ecosystem. Think, what kind of adaptation must organisms have to be able to live in the tundra? Think about it. Let's compare between the aquatic ecosystem and the terrestrial ecosystem. The aquatic ecosystem is water-based, while the terrestrial ecosystem is land-based. The aquatic ecosystem includes freshwater, marine water, coral reefs, while the terrestrial ecosystem includes forest, grasslands, taiga, and tundra, that's the cold regions. The terrestrial ecosystem is a large ecosystem, but the aquatic ecosystem is larger than the terrestrial ecosystem. I hope this is clear to understand the difference between the aquatic ecosystem and the terrestrial ecosystem. Let's look into the vocabulary. Niche, producer, consumer, herbivore, carnivore, omnivore, and scavengers. I hope this video was helpful to understand about an ecosystem. Keep watching the videos for more information on ecosystem and other topics. Don't forget to like, share with your friends. Thank you for watching.